coming to the Madison Fire District, April 15th, 2020 at 7 p.m. meeting. I think we need a roll call.
Mr. Adams.
Here.
Mr. Anderson. Mr.
Here.
Faulkner. Mr. Lee. Mr. Vest. Mr. Wayman.
Here.
That the whole roll call.
It has been completed.
Okay. We got Pledge of Allegiance next.
Pledge start.
I pledge allegiance
I pledge
to the
allegiance
flag
to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one
nation,
under God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
and justice for all.
Pledge end.
Are we showing next the minutes?
Yeah, Jay, next is the regular minutes.
So we'll need a vote on that. A motion to pass the minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the minutes of the March 18th, 2020 regular session meeting be approved.
A second.
I'll second.
That was Mr. Wayman, second.
Yep.
Roll call.
Mr. Adams.
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Gautner.
Yes.
Mr. Lee. Mr. Vest. Mr. Wayman.
Yes.
Okay, Jay, next you have bills and payroll. Bills in the amount of $127,643.66. Tax collection fee of $35,317.38. And a payroll in the amount of $149,731.82, totaling $312,692.86.
Is there a motion to pass that?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we pay the bills and payroll.
Mr. Wayman, a second.
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Gautner, second. Discussion?
Yeah, I can let you know that one of the high parts of this expenditure was the semi-annual dispatching fee, which was $51,721.13. That's what made the bills a little higher than normal. Another expenditure was a gear extractor that we got grant money for was $5,205.00.
Thank you, Joanne.
Uh-huh.
Any questions for Joanne?
No.
We need a roll call on that.
Nyla, you'll have to unmute.
And Nyla's muted. There we go.
All right, we'll try that again. Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Gautner.
Yes.
Mr. Lee.
Yes.
Mr. Vest.
Yes.
And Mr. Wayman.
Yes.
Mr. Adams.
Yes.
Okay, Jay, next on the agenda is the March 2020 financial report.
Joanne?
Okay, yep. I have our starting fund balance for March was $3,233,043.75. Our month-to-date revenue that we collected was $1,496,107.39. Our year-to-date revenue is $2,102,636.70. Again, our month-to-date expenditures was $312,692.86. Our year-to-date expenditures is $896,523.44. So we are starting April with $4,416,458.28.
Okay.
Thank you, Joanne. Any questions for Joanne?
Would you like me to give you a few other updates so you know? I hope you all received the email that I sent out about where I transferred the money from the primary checking to the Andover money market checking earlier in March, so we get better interest. And also that, as you know, BWC is going to be refunding us money that looked like on our 2018. And we paid $20,756.01 is what we paid in 2018 to BWC. That doesn't include the VSSR payment that we had to pay. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions for Joanne?
Mr. Chairman, if I could.
Yep, Mr. Gautner.
Joanne, just, you may want to start kind of, and I'm sure with your other jobs as well. I'm hearing rumor that the county auditor's office is expecting a lower than normal second half tax collection because of what's going on with COVID-19. I know normally they figure you get about 90, you collect about 96% of what you think you're going to collect, and I'm hearing that number may be way, way lower than that. So we're going to have to really be watching how much money's coming in the second half of the year.
Yeah, I will. If I hear something, I'll let you know. I'll send out an email to everybody once they start giving me more figures too on there.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I have a question for you, Mr. Chairman.
Yep, Mr. Vest.
Okay, Joanne, have you started a line item for every expense that might be had for the COVID-19?
I actually have a folder started for it. We're doing it out of the EMS emergency supplies is where we're doing it right now. Todd and I have been talking about it.
You're probably going to have to start some type of a line item just to keep track of what we're spending there so that when it comes time to getting reimbursement,
Right.
we'll be able to do that.
Yes, Todd and I have been talking on that already, on
Okay.
how to do that, so we know.
Sounds good. Thank you.
I think that probably goes along with everything related to the COVID, you know, whatever expense it is. I don't care if it's with the chief or whomever, you know, we put the COVID on that, whatever bill, expense, whatever it is. That way maybe we get reimbursed somehow a little bit or something someday.
Mr. Chairman, all invoices that are approved, that's what we're doing currently. If it has to do with COVID, it's written very large on the top. And all that's being copied, so we're keeping a secondary folder of everything.
Perfect. Thank
As
you.
well as overtime.
Knock on wood, that has not occurred.
Yeah, amen, brother.
Sure.
Any other questions for Joanne?
Nope. All right, next thing on your agenda, Mr. Chairman, would be the open public portion, but I thought you were going to wait till the end of the meeting to see if we got any emails from anybody. So that would take you to legal counsel with Ms. Dane.
Thank you.
Okay, hello everybody. So my update is I haven't had a chance to talk with Mr. Gates just yet. Basically, I've been focused on some other things, trying to help the chief out, reading a lot of legislation that was passed quickly and trying to advise on that, as well as having everything turned over for my other clients too. So now getting caught up, and I will definitely make that a priority so that by the next meeting, we should have something for you guys to look at and hopefully approve to get that project going. I also just wanted to indicate to Mr. Anderson that I did not forget about the resolution for Catherine Thoki. We wanted to recognize her. I just didn't want that to get lost in this new format that we were doing tonight. So I thought we would wait either until we're back together again, hopefully, or the next meeting when we're a little more comfortable with this format. So those are the two items that I had. And if anyone has anything else for me, let me know.
Thank you, Mr. Stain. But also the one with Toki, we can wait till we get back. I mean, that make it easier on everybody.
Mr. Chairman, just so you know, I am keeping track of those. I actually have thank you letters that are already drafted. And I figured at one point, perhaps we can just address
all of them,
those people who have helped out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking is, you know, I think we're going to have more than one or two people after this is all said and done with that we're going to have to thank. And so that's a good idea. Just let's keep a list of all those people, businesses, so forth.
Yep, for sure. All right, Jay, next thing on your agenda then would be committee reports. I don't know if the chief has any or not.
No, we have no active committees to report on.
Okay, so next thing on the agenda is old business. I don't know if there's any old business, Chief.
Old business out there?
I think the only old business we had was Stacy addressed the bathroom renovations. Captain Sopko, I believe we are still up to date with the fire engine delivery on June 11th. There are some details that are being worked out because of the inspection trips and how those are going to be completed. Captain Sopko has been in touch with Tony, the sales rep, probably at least every week. So we have a good pulse on what's going on there.
Very good. Okay. All right. There's no more old business. Jay, next is new business, and you got resolution 20-09 transfer of funds for bond debt.
And I could do that one for you guys. This is a resolution authorizing the physical officer of Madison Fire District to transfer funds from the General Fund 1000 to the General Bond Note Retirement Fund 3101 and declaring an emergency. This is coming due June 1st, and it's $78,542.60 is just a transfer to cover the interest when it comes due June 1st.
We have a motion for that.
Second. You have a second?
I didn't hear who moved.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second.
I hear Mr. Lee was a second, and I think Mr. Vest was a first.
That's as I heard it.
Okay.
Okay. Only roll call.
Mr. Gottner,
Yes.
Mr. Lee,
Yes.
Mr. Vest,
Yes.
Mr. Wayman,
Yes.
Mr. Adams,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
All right. That's all that, Jay, that's all that was under new business, unless
Thank
there's
you.
something else.
Any other new business anybody know of?
No? Okay,
Nope.
then that takes you down to the chief's report. I don't know that the chief's going to have much of a report, but it's his report.
Thank you, sir. Just an update, the budget worksheet was finally updated. It is current through March. We don't have any areas of danger other than right now, as Joanne mentioned, some of the things that we've purchased for COVID, we've taken directly out of the EMS account, specifically the 2281 account for EMS funds. We are tracking those. However, that's accelerated our annual spending out of that account. So at some point, we'll probably have to make reappropriations. But again, those are dollars that we're tracking. To give you guys a little bit of an update, our call volume is down. We're down about 2 calls on average per day. Our EMS transports are also down about a transport per day. I share similar concerns as what Mr. Gautner brought up. What happens to tax revenue the second half, and even more specifically, first half of next year. But I also think that we're going to see a significant decrease in our EMS billing. We're probably looking at bringing in about $9,000 or $10,000 less, which is about 25% reduction in our EMS billing. So all of these things kind of combined puts us in that spot where we need to watch our spending and keep track of where we're at. So you're aware, and I know you guys get a lot of the updates from the county. To this point, we have transported one COVID positive patient. It was a patient that the Lake County General Health District had notified us of. We had a premise alert already placed on the residence through Central. We also had it marked and identified in our active 911, which is what we use to dispatch. The crew that responded knew what they were walking into, used appropriate PPE. Therefore, there really is a limited risk to them at all. There was confirmation following the transport that it was COVID. Our PPE situation is good. If we continue to trend the way we are, we should have no problem surviving this pandemic. They keep kicking this spike down the road, so who knows what that number means. But as it stands right now, we have everything that we need to do the job. There are 11 total cases in Madison. There are also 4 residents in Madison that are presumed to be high risk for us. Some of that information has been passed via emails. I did correspond with the Lake County Health Department today because I'm a little concerned with their reporting and the inaccuracy of some of the information. It appears that while they're managing 124 cases in Lake County, at this time it looks like there's about 27 of them that are within the last 14 days. And I think one of the things that we need to do, and I'm trying to push the health department to do, is use aggregate for whatever they need aggregate for. We need to really understand what the threat is with active cases. And with that said, out of our 11, 3 of them are going to be inactive shortly. An additional 8 should fall off within the next week. And I think that's how we kind of need to assess our threat. I know what was sent out to the township trustees and village council showed that we had between 1 and 10 cases. Another pitfall that we've caught is that patients being discharged from the hospital to nursing homes are being documented at the health department with their primary residence and not necessarily being documented as the discharge location. So we have a nursing home that has a couple of folks that show up in some other communities' statistics and not ours. Spending wise, we've had no overtime that I can think of off the top of my head that's been related to COVID. Our schedule's been relatively full. We do have 8 people currently off on leaves of absence, which is about 20% of our staff. A couple are for personal reasons, a couple are for injuries, and we do have some career firefighters in other locations that took leave because they didn't want to jeopardize their career position, which I understand. But we have continued to meet the expectations of the calendar. Let's see what else. The school has blessed us with giving us the Clorox Total 360 machine, which has been awesome in helping us keep our equipment disinfected. Our precautions are we are following CDC guidelines. We're wearing the N95 masks on every call. We're wearing masks if we can't keep social distancing within the station. We've rearranged furniture so that we've added space when guys are in the station. We're checking temperatures twice a day, morning and evening, and we're logging temperatures. We're fortunate at this point. We've had nobody that has had any kind of symptoms, nobody that has had any kind of significant exposure. Trying to think if there's anything else for you. We did spend, we have probably spent COVID related at this point, probably $7,000. We have purchased gloves, which is the first time that I know of that we've ever done that at Madison because there was concern about gloves. because they're made in Malaysia, and there was some concern that the virus would impact production. So we got 8 cases of gloves. We've ordered some gowns, and we did just recently purchase some additional disinfectant and our own electrostatic sprayers, which essentially do what the schools do. These are portable that will provide additional ability for us to keep our things clean. That purchase gives us 120 gallons of disinfectant and a whole bunch of goodies, and cost just about $5,000, which is significantly less than one of the units that the school has. Other than that, you've been getting emails. They're slowing down. That's a good sign. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you guys have.
I have a question for the chief, please, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Vest.
Okay, question is, the $7,000 of expenditures that you have on the COVID so far, would that include the $5,000 for the sanitation unit?
Yes, it does.
Very good. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just for a second.
Yeah, Mr. Gaughton.
Yeah, Chief, I just wanted to comment. I really like the emails you're sending out. The one you sent out today with the statistical information on, the number of people that have it in the county and in Madison. I think that's really valuable to know. So I hope you can continue to keep those numbers coming our way, because I think there's a lot of undue panic out there over this. Not to say that it shouldn't be taken seriously, but when I looked at your numbers this afternoon, it kind of really tells a tale that it's serious, but less than 1% of the people in Madison, I think it was, had the virus. When you look at our overall population, I think that's a good number. That's something to keep in mind. And I watched the governor's news conference this afternoon, and I was a little bit taken back that Dr. Acton, she admitted today, for those of you that saw the news conference, that the numbers she has are not very accurate. So it gives me less faith every day when I watch these things as to what's really going on. But I appreciate the numbers that you come up with, Chief, because I know those are based on what you're getting out of the health district.
So the numbers that I pulled are from the Ohio COVID dashboard. So it's through the Ohio Department of Health. And I think the other reason that I did that is we continue to see aggregate numbers, and those numbers are always going to get bigger. It doesn't matter whether it increases by 5 or it increases by 500. And I think, we're in the business of risk assessment. And I think one of the things that we have to look at with risk assessment is, yes, there are a lot of people who have and or had, but the one thing that the health department has not done, and again, you may or may not get complaints about me from them, because I've been pushing them on trying to give us accurate data that we can utilize to assess the threat. We have firefighters here whose families sit at home and watch the news. And every day on the news, they talk about how the deaths have increased. They talk about how the cases have increased. And while they have, what we're not hearing about is these cases that are closed. And to be quite honest with you, I don't know that the Lake County Health Department has actually figured out how they're closing and reporting those cases. To me, that's the most important thing. I can tell you there's been 100 fires in Madison. What's really important is the one that's on fire currently. And I think that we're looking at this, health folks are looking at this as the pandemic and looking at total numbers. And I think as first responders, we need to look at them as in current actual threat. I did take the time to talk to some of my colleagues in Cleveland. And I can tell you, for instance, the Cleveland Clinic, their emergency room visits last week were down 3,000. 3,000, which probably puts them down 700 or 800 admissions easily. I've talked to friends at Metro. The hospital is empty. The beds aren't filling up. They're not using their surge capacity. In fact, I don't think a single hospital yet has entered that surge capacity. And I'm not saying, I'm with you, Mr. Gall, I'm not saying that this isn't a threat, but I think we really need to understand what the numbers are. And counting every fire in Madison doesn't necessarily identify the immediate threat. So that's why that information was out. And I think you as elected officials need to have a good grasp on it, because people are going to ask. And you brought up Madison. So in Madison, there's 11 cases, which based on my estimation is about 0.047% of the population. And about 0.013% of the population has been hospitalized. So we're talking significantly less than 1%. That's the immediate threat. Sorry,
Thank
a little,
you, Chief.
a little worked up with this stuff.
No, that's what people have to hear, and I'm starting to really doubt what I see every day on TV during the governor's press conferences, and especially today after I heard Dr. Acton speak to the fact that her numbers could be as old as 10 days. I mean, she's lagging way behind. We may have actually peaked in this state a week ago, and they're just now getting those numbers now.
And if you guys didn't watch it, I'm not sure whether you're picking up, but yesterday the governor announced that we had 50 deaths in the state of Ohio, and today it was 37. And Dr. Acton admitted that the reporting is such that of those 50 deaths, some of those may have been 2 weeks ago. So when we're trying to really trend where this pandemic is, adding numbers from the last 2 weeks into one day really doesn't give you an accurate assessment.
Nope, not at all.
Any other questions for me?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Sure. Mr. Wayman.
Yeah, Todd, the inspection billing, has there been any improvement in the inspection billing and the money taken in? Are people responding to the letter, or?
If you don't mind, sir, Captain Sopko, if you're still on, would you like to address that?
Yeah, I'm still on. We're still in the process of getting letters sent out. For all intents and purposes, inspections are on hold because of the social distancing. We have done a couple video inspections, which is what the state is doing now. But we are still working on the letter as far as getting it out. I'm trying to do it at the right time, and I don't think right now is the right time.
Okay, thank you.
I've got a question also for the chief. Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the individual who was doing the inspections, is he still working, or are we having him on payroll, or is he laid off, or what's the status?
So our inspector currently is still working. What we've done is reassigned, basically he is now working on the decades of files that we currently have in paper, and we're scanning them and going to electronic records. That way we're minimizing paperwork, we're consolidating, we're reorganizing, and currently, hopefully here in the near future, we'll be at a point where virtually everything that we have is on our cloud. And I think some of you have realized how nice it is to have that information at your fingertips instead of in a box upstairs. So yes, we're going to continue to utilize him until we run out of work.
I was going to say, how long do you expect that to take, the scanning and such?
Captain, you got a good estimate? There's a lot of boxes.
Yeah, I looked at it. Yeah, it was this morning. He's about halfway through the filing cabinet, and it's a big filing cabinet. He's about halfway through that. So he's about halfway through all of our occupancies.
So I guess in your estimates, you would say probably if we have another couple weeks, as I anticipate this going until at least the 1st of May, he should be able to achieve that goal, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think probably he's got at least 2 to 3 weeks that we can work on getting that stuff finalized. Yes.
Well, I'm glad that he's being utilized. as opposed to laid off. And if not, I was going to suggest that we go for the PPP money for him also. So that's not the case. We don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, our goal is going to be to keep everybody busy. We did modify our staffing model slightly just so that the board's aware. We did shift the fourth person that used to be at Station 2 to Station 3, primarily because of sleeping arrangements. Y'all are familiar with what they're living in Station 2. Again, to try to optimize social distancing, we've moved them up here. The other thing that we've done is that if one of the officers are off, we're making sure, especially with Nyla and Joanne out of the office, we're making sure to keep an officer up here at Station 3 as the fourth person, with a goal of making sure we're keeping the officers healthy and the leadership healthy so that we can continue the operation.
Very good.
Well, Jay, if there's no one else, the next thing after the chief's report is closing public portion and then closing board comments, and that's it.
Did we have anything with the public portion? Do we have any emails or anything?
As of this point, I'm going to check one more place. As of this point, Mr. Chairman, I have not received any email questions.
Okay, thank you.
And so the board is aware we do actually have, oops, I just lost it. We do actually have 7 people who are watching live.
Okay.
So thank you all for taking this first experiment with us.
I think it's a learning experience for all of us.
Yes, it is. Last thing on the agenda, Jay, is closing board comments.
Okay. Anything from the board?
I just have to go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Mark.
No, I just want to say thank you to Todd and everyone that's worked as hard as they have with their overtime hours and working and being away from their families and the fear that's there. And I wish the best for them and all the blessings. And that would be it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vest.
Mr. Chairman, yeah,
Mr.
I echo what Mr. Vest said, and I also want to thank the chief. He and his staff have spent a lot of time ensuring that the firefighters are protected and are safe, and he's done a great job, and I really appreciate the fact, Chief, that you I know was one of the issues that came up when we first hired you about your other position, but I think that position has paid off in spades for us because you have contacts in the healthcare organization that has really put us ahead of a lot of the fire departments in the county as far as personal protective gear and what have you, and just proper protocols to follow. So if there was any doubt that your other job would be a hindrance, it surely has paid off in this respect. And I thank you and your whole team for what you've done.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to make sure, you know me, I think that this shows how this triad is working, and I think having Captain Sopko and Meister and the 3 lieutenants, I think there's been good communication. And I will tell you that I think, from my perspective, I've done very little to run the fire department the last month because I've been wrapped up in this. And I think that goes to speak volumes for those guys, because that just lets me know when this is over and I take a month vacation, I don't have to worry about it.
I don't know about that, but there's always something after this. So I don't know, maybe a week or week and a half, maybe.
Man, you're hard, Jay.
Anyone else? No. Hey, I just want to say real quick, I guess I'm in that unique position that I kind of get to hear it from the first responders. I know a lot of from the fire side out towards Paynesville, they were following the Madison's model. So I will say, you know, Chief Baker was, you know, definitely the first one to jump on board with the way he was handling this. A lot of the folks out that way know that I'm on the fire board out here. So I get to hear the, you know, the positives and negatives on a regular basis. But I'll tell you what, it's you definitely stood out on this one, and with the percent that we were showing, we're doing something right in Madison. I don't know what, but we're doing something right, and I just hope it continues. So I just want everybody to be safe, and this is the first time I've ever done anything like this. So this is kind of interesting, but you know, I guess it's the new norm now. So but thank you. Anyone else? All right.
Mr. Chair, I'll move for adjournment at this time.
Mr. Waben, we have a second.
Second,
I think that was Mr. Lee.
correct.
Okay. Roll call.
Mr. Lee,
Right now. Yes.
Mr. Best,
Yes.
Mr. Wayman,
Yes.
Mr. Adams,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Gantner.
Yes. All right.
Okay. What was the date on the next meeting? I don't have that.
Next meeting, Jay, is May 20th, 2020. It'll
May
probably
20th
be,
at 7 p.m.
yes, at 7 p.m. Not sure if it'll be by video conference or not. We'll have to wait and see.
Correct. We'll have to wait and see. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Stay
Thanks
safe.
again, everybody.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you, Chief.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. It's like, all right, that was different. I will say that.
Tom, did you stop the stream?
I'm working on it.